Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of Freedom Friday here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, the Ohio Patriot, and for today's episode, we're going to talk about pure evil in Cincinnati, aka Aftab Pureval, who is the idiot mayor in that city, and the dumbass, retarded, fucking voter bloc voted back into office this past Tuesday, when they literally had a shooting that left 8 injured 3 days before that. We're also going to talk about Democrat cities in general, how Islam has now declared war after Mamdani cheated his way into New York City's governor, or not governor, New York City mayor's race, etc., etc. So, obviously, I have the elephant hat on today because, the elephant never forgets is what it is. But, yeah, Cincinnati's literally a hellscape, dude. I was trying to get a few more stories for today, but unfortunately I didn't get a chance to get out the stuff I needed to get. Basically, I kind of threw a call out the other day after Tuesday's election cycle to anybody that lives in Cincinnati, whether they be a small business owner there, whether they be just an everyday citizen that lives in that area, and tell me what's going on there. Tell us at the network here is what it is, what's going on in the city, so we can actually have a better understanding of just how bad the violent crime is down there is what it is, because there's been an uptick in violent crime in Cincinnati for over a year now. And it has 100% to do with, you have this shitty mayor who is not an American, period. The guy is literally a plant from another country onto U.S. soil. You have a fucking retarded police chief in that Teresa Teleghi, I think it's how you pronounce her last name, who should have been kicked out and arrested at this point with Pureval as accessories to the black and white hate crime over the summer, as well as DA / county prosecutor, Connie Pillage, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She is the county prosecutor for Hamilton County, where Cincinnati is located out there. She is also one of the worst DAs in this entire state because she has openly talked about being soft on crime in the past. And if it wasn't for her not prosecuting these piece of shit career criminals, you would have never had the ringleader there in Cincinnati that night when that whole so-called brawl that was nothing more than a black and white hate crime is what it actually was, went down. And that's the one thing that really pisses me off about Vivek Ramaswamy specifically, because he then posted a town hall not long after that, be it he refused to ever address the root cause, which was 100% black on white hate crimes in this state, in this country. And the fact of the matter is, when you cannot actually have those conversations legitimately and in good faith, you can never address the actual problem in this country and how we can actually fix this stuff, whether it be bringing back 3 strikes laws, whether it be bringing back like a 94 version of the Biden crime bill, whether it be implementing a much further stuff for that matter. Because that's the thing, you have people like Vivek running for governorship right now, who is, claiming to run on a law and order kind of platform there, but yet the man never refused. He actually never acknowledges what the real problem is, because he claims he doesn't play any politics. And then this past week, he claimed that shit again, and you actually had Nikki Haley's son call his ass out on that stuff and be like, no, dude, Christianity is king at this point. And it's kind of funny when it's neocon Nikki Haley, and it's her literal child who is I'm trying to remember what she actually was now I'm thinking about it, because I think she was supposed to be some kind of Arab or something, or some Arabic descent or something. That's what it is. Somewhere along the line there is what it is. And then it's something else mixed in along the line or whatever there. And then it's her kid is part that, and he's part something else too, is what it is. And you can definitely tell it, this kid, that her son, who I think his name is Navil or something like that, it's Navil or something. You can definitely tell this kid is quite foreign, basically, looks wise anyway. Now, granted, he's also an American citizen, is what it is, and that's the big thing that I've always had a problem with in general. Is I don't care if it's these mayors, these DAs, these city council people, whatever the case be, or whether it just be, these people that claim to be running for office and stuff like that. when you're putting words in front of American, that's when you're telling everybody who you really are, and it's not an American. Whether it be, you're calling yourself Indian American or African American or, Somali American or Arab American or whatever the fuck, doesn't matter. When you're putting another word in front of American, you are never going to assimilate fully into this country. End of story. And that's exactly what the problem is right now. And really, I think America's biggest problem is not only the fact that we have unchecked illegal immigration in this country, it's the fact that you have unchecked illegal immigration in this country too, because what it used to be was, before the 1965 Hart-Celler Act, which took and demographically shifted us from only, bringing in white people from European countries before 65, to then it was a demographical shift to Central American nations, and it was a bunch of Latinos then taking over what it was there. And of course, the guys that were behind it, Hart and Celler, were all like, oh no, there's never going to be a demographical shift, and within like less than a decade, there totally was what it is. So they're both a couple of lion sacks of shit what it is there. But the entire point of the matter is that, back in the day there, from, the 1800s through, the 1960s, even for that matter, or at least the early part of the 1960s anyway, there were downtimes in immigration where you actually had people assimilate, in many cases by force, because it was either, you assimilated into America, you started speaking English, or you got your ass kicked and you got fucking thrown out, basically is what it is there. And this is the problem now, I think, is what it is, because you have so much legal immigration coming into this country every single day is what it is, that there is never a actual time period of downtime for assimilation. And so instead of having, and not to mention the fact that obviously back in the day when it was, white European countries that people were coming from, whether it be from Germany or France or Sweden or whatever the case be then, maybe you had like, 10,000 people speaking Swedish or whatever the case be, or you had, 10,000 people speaking German, whatever it was there. But the thing of it was, that's when you cut the fucking flow off completely and you force them to assimilate in and learn English is what it is there. And this is what we're not doing right now. We are continuing to let the fucking, faucet be on and then like cranking it up to 100 basically every single year, letting millions of people in here. And then what do? They create places like a little Somalia or a little Honduras or a little El Salvador or a little Venezuela or, little India, whatever it is there. It doesn't matter, honestly. And then they'll tend to stay in these places and then shit talk America like crazy, being like, oh, I only, like, and this is actually a conversation I had a couple years ago even with our friend Krabby Turtle. And it was, I forget if it was his relatives or it was his wife's relatives that came in and they were saying how much America sucked after their trip, what it was there. And they're like, well, what did you do? Where'd you go? And they're like, oh, we just stayed around like this Koreatown or this Chinatown or wherever they were out there. And they're like, so you never left that 6 to 8 block radius? And they're like, no, but this, like, it was so shitty or whatever, like, used to be around there. And they're like, yeah, because you never actually saw the city. You never actually embraced America is what it was. And you never got to see like the real America is what it was there. So, and I think that's the problem with a lot of these people. They'll come here and they'll be like, exploitative of our systems is what it is there. And that's especially true when you look at what we're seeing now with what we have as our current food stamp situation going on there, where there's like supposedly 42 million people on that, but there's no way it's 42 million Americans. It's literally, when you start breaking it down, it's about 12 million, like 10 to 12 million Americans actually need it, because it's disabled people that, can't work. And then it's basically like another, I would say roughly 8 to 10,000, 8 to 10 million there is what it is, that are basically just the, lazy ass welfare queens that are generational pieces of shit that don't want to get a job is what it is then. And then on top of that, you then have this other third mix, which is like anywhere from like 15 to like 25 million illegals. And it's interesting because people have actually started breaking that down too. And like who's getting the various stuff from the EBT system and stuff like that. And there's people from anywhere from Afghanistan, Pakistan, Palestine, various African countries, South Sudan, stuff like that is what it is. And all found their way to America. Here's what it is, whether it be through Soros means or something else for that matter. And it's basically just turning into this giant shit show of gimme, gimme, gimme until there's nothing left, basically. And this is the problem entirely because, again, going back to how immigration used to work in this country, especially legal immigration in this country, for a legal immigrant to be able to come into the country, they literally had to prove without a shadow of a doubt that they could sustain themselves and that they had financials with them at the time. Like, they literally had to pull a stack of fucking cash is what it was and be like, yeah, here's like, $15,000 that I have of personal money that if something does happen, I can't find a job right away, I can live on this money. Now instead, because of a piece of shit, people like Biden and Democrat Party is what it is there in the past like 10 years or so, you have this flow of illegal immigration into our country where they were literally told, oh, come to America, you'll get free everything from healthcare to housing to food, et cetera, et cetera. And so, of course, if you're living in some Venezuelan country or some fucking, El Salvadorian country or Nicaragua or whatever it is down there in Central America, and you have these people, and mind you, these are the middle class people of their country is what it is. Like they're not like the super poor people that actually need the help. They're the people that are actually living in a place where they have, regular electricity and have like a TV that they can watch is what it is there. And they would be considered like middle class in their own nation is what it is there. And so they're flipping through their TV and they just hear, oh yeah, come to America. And mind you, it's all in Spanish at that time. And it's like, come to America and you will be given everything in the world that's at your fingertips, basically. And you can live the American dream because the U.S. government's going to pay for it. But in reality, U.S. taxpayers pay for it, what it actually is. And so then you have these, shifts of people just being pissed, and rightfully so at that point, because you actively have these motherfuckers exploiting our country and fucking over actual Americans' ability to have an American dream is what it is then. And it goes back to how these cities are just shitholes too, for that matter, because that's where a lot of these people end up at. That's what it is there. And so they become even more crime-ridden. They become even more third world is what it is then. And, there's a reason why I use the term third world a lot is because it's literally, that's what they're creating. They're creating a third world hellhole like the one that they came from, and then bringing that to the American people and turning our major cities in this country into these giant shitholes. I'm truthfully shocked, honestly, that like how they have San Francisco where it's a giant poop map and stuff like that, where they have to literally have a fucking poop map, by the way, because there's people shitting in the streets everywhere in San Francisco there. I'm honestly surprised there's not a lot of those other ones in Democrat cities right now, because whether it be all the H-1B visa holders that are of the Indian descent and stuff like that, or whether it be, all these other people that have come in through Biden and company, like none of them know how to wipe their fucking ass properly is what it is there. And so they'll just pop a squat in the fucking street most of the time is what it is there and just dump on the side of the fucking street is what it is then, dude. It's absolutely disgusting. It's fucking gross. It's a biohazard, literally, or even worse. Like going back to what we've said in Honda's chats many, many times over the last year or so, you'll have these people that they'll take a 20-ounce bottle of water because, again, they don't want to wipe their ass with fucking toilet paper is what it is. And so instead of just grabbing up a wad of toilet paper and wiping their ass like a normal person would, they'll take this bottle of water, shove it basically into their asshole, and then like spray it, like drop it like that basically, and like spray it up their asshole like it's a fucking bidet. And then it'll spray everywhere in the toilet stall. And so you'll have this biohazard of just chemical shit everywhere is what it is then. And I don't understand how these people are even allowed to be on this country soil at this point anymore, honestly, after that shit, dude, because like you're literally creating biohazards in bathrooms all across this nation by just being here and doing that disgusting behavior is what it is. So anyway, but yeah, it reminds me of a story that happened to me about 11 years or so ago now. This was back when I was visiting my uncle in Maine back in 2014 when he got married. And my aunt was driving at the time. And it was a situation where I think my uncle had like started to kind of fall asleep at the wheels what it was. And my aunt's like, no, I'm taking over now. Like, it was kind of like, anybody got to go to the bathroom now? Okay, nope, we're good. and like didn't really give anybody a chance to really say one way or another. And then it turned out I really had to go to the bathroom about 10 to 15 minutes later, so it was then. And so we couldn't pull off at a rest stop because there wasn't any at the time or whatever. And so we ended up having to pull off into this like little, what you call it, and just try to look for a gas station. And of course, the one place that we went to first, it was like a liquor store, and they're like, "Oh, we don't have bathrooms in the public," which I probably could have sued the shit out of that place, honestly, because it doesn't matter if your bathroom is quote unquote not to the public, whatever the case be. On 50 states, there's laws in the books where if somebody has to have a bathroom, you have to provide them with a bathroom. Under specifically, it is like ADA stuff is what it is there, because it could be they're just incontinent is what it is or whatever. And if you don't provide them with a bathroom and they piss themselves or they shit themselves or whatever, they can legally sue the fuck out of you is what it is then. But anyway, so they basically told us to go to like this gas station a little bit further up is what it is. So went to the gas station a little bit further up, and of course it was run by two fucking Indian dudes. And I'm looking around, and thankfully I just had to go, take a whiz is what it was then. And I'm looking around at stuff, and I'm like, okay, why is there no TP here? Why is there this random 5-gallon bucket with a smaller like cup inside of it? There's a bunch of water in there. And I'm looking around, I'm like, where the hell is the fucking soap so I can wash my hands? Which did not exist, by the way. And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I gave him like a thanks or whatever for letting me use the bathroom. And I'm just kind of like looking in the back of my mind, like, these filthy motherfuckers are running this convenience store, not washing their hands with soap and water, and then splashing fucking shitty water on their ass when they're in the bathroom. That's what it is, out of that bucket. It was the most fucking disgusting thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And I told everybody that was in the car, I was like, I don't care if you guys need road stacked or not, we're not getting from here unless you want to get seriously fucking ill. And everybody understood why when I told them about what's going on there. And even my uncle, when he came back out, he's like, yeah, there was no soap in the bathroom. I'm like, yeah, I told you, dude, because these people are filthy motherfuckers is what it is then. Sadly, he's gone now, but these pieces of shit are still on our country soil, what it is then. But anyways. So there's that story. And then going back to Cincinnati for a minute here, we are going to talk about specifically what's going on there right now, which was when I looked up Cincinnati crime earlier. This is what actually popped up here. It said Cincinnati's overall crime rate has generally been a slight decline, but specific areas and certain violent crimes have experienced increases. Recent initiatives target violent and property crime, which have been a top public issue in the city. And it was violent crime trends 2024-2025. Overall crime, total number of reported crime incidents has remained relatively stable and slightly decreased overall, but violent crime, which saw an uptick in 2024, driven by increases in robberies and aggravated assaults. However, recent year-to-year data for 2025 shows a slight decrease in overall violent crime incidents compared to the same period of 2024. I love how they say slight decrease because what they really mean is maybe like 5 less or something. That's what it is there. And then what's funny, like looking at that obviously for that, and then when you start going down here then, what do we have for the last 3 days now? Suspects arrested in Cincinnati crime crackdown, released from jail quickly. Teen arrested after fleeing traffic stop in stolen vehicle during violent crime reduction initiative in Cincinnati. Safety remains a top city issue as weekend shooting injures 8. And let's see what else we got. And of course, we got 2 hours ago, one-on-one with newly re-elected Cincinnati Mayor Afghan Pureval. Fucking clown, dude. I swear to God, everybody that voted for this fucking idiot, which is like 5,000 something people, need to be stripped of voting rights for life in this state. And the story. And that's what else we got. 3 weeks ago, violent crime reduction initiative in Cincinnati leads to arrest for strangulation and assault. Jesus fucking Christ. 13-year-old driving stolen vehicle arrest after Cincinnati police chase. That was 2 days ago. By the way, that was after Mr. Pureval was reelected as mayor. See, then we got yesterday in South Fremont, Ohio. A man dies at the hospital after shooting in Cincinnati neighborhood. Fucking ridiculous, dude. It's just so insane, man. It really is. And then, like I said, you had Islamic terrorism, literally doing like Allah Akbars the day after Mamdani stole the New York City election. Then going out there and being like, "Oh, this is our country now," and it's like, the fuck it is, motherfuckers. So I really think we're heading. I think we're seriously like button heads at this point, honestly, with these people pretty soon, where it's going to have to be like one way or another at this point. Like Islam's going to have to be removed by force from this country's soil is what it is. And if we don't, we're done as a country is what it is then. So, and then of course you got other Dem run hellholes now is what it is. Where one thing I actually heard this morning when I was at my doctor's appointment was about Cleveland, specifically doing rent moratorium stuff. And sorry, not rent moratorium. It was what do you call it? Utilities moratoriums is what it is there because of the shutdown. And what it sounds to me like what's actually happening is what it is that you have. Let's see if I can find it here right now. Yeah, here we go. It sounds to me like you basically have a 30-day window because of the Democrat-created shutdowns here, where Cleveland's putting a 30-day moratorium on utility shutoffs. So basically, if you can't pay your utilities for the next 30 days, it's not going to be shut off is what it is there, which my understanding was, from what they were showing on Spectrum 1 is what it was, on the TV that I was at the doctor's office there watching. It's basically going to be a situation where you have these people still have to actually have like the stuff that they're getting right now and like what it's going to cost obviously in the future for them to pay it back. So they have to pay it back eventually after this like 30-day window. But as of right now, they don't have to do that because of, potentially not having a job and not having a way to pay is what it is then, which is all well and great and everything, but then it also incentivizes these same people to be like, well, I'm just not going to pay it all. Fuck you is what it is then. And we kind of saw the same shit during the 2020 lockdowns too. And it was interesting because you saw the hypocrisy of Democrats at that point because you had people like Ariana Presley, who was in Congress championing like, oh yeah, we need rent moratoriums. We need, we got to keep people from having to pay a bunch of rent off or whatever the case be. And then meanwhile, like the next day she was going back to her district in, I think it's Baltimore, Maryland there, if I'm not mistaken. And she apparently owns an apartment complex there, at least one, if not multiple, actually, and was literally going and forcing people to pay rent. That is what it was. She was going there to collect rent checks the next day is what it was then. So you have her on like a Friday afternoon bitching and moaning about, oh, we need rent moratoriums across the country there in Congress. And then the next day she's going out there and being like, you know what, fuck the rent moratorium, like, give me my money, bitch. So it's just like, I swear to God, dude, if Democrats are one thing, they are fucking liars and deceivers is what it is there. Which actually brings me to a great point. And this is something I do want to talk about today, obviously, because it does have to do with here in Ohio and just in general is what it is. So there was a poll that came out yesterday. Everybody's been citing for the past 24 hours or so on X, where it was specifically Vivek and Acton. And it was how they were making bullshit claims about Amy Acton now being within like striking distance of Vivek is what it is in the governor's race. And what I think is interesting about the whole thing is that when you actually look at the poll itself, it was this group that is a teachers union in the state of Ohio. It's actually the Ohio Federation of Teachers, what they call themselves there. And what I think is interesting is how they label the headline on this, and then when they actually speak the truth in the actual article, like about 2 sentences later, basically is what it is there. And it's this right here, where it was OFT poll, Ohio governor's race, a toss-up, Acton outpaces Ramaswamy on favorability. And then it's literally right here, like 3 to 4 sentences in, the survey of 800 likely voters also found in stark contrast to the opinions of many political commentators that voters are more likely to support Amy acting for governor after being reminded of her experience protecting Ohio's public health during the height of the COVID pandemic. Oh, you mean where she literally massacred millions of Americans in the fucking state, including my mother? You mean that shit, people? You mean the reason why she should be getting a fucking rope right now for crimes against humanity? Is that what you're talking about? Like, seriously, how the fuck is this woman not in prison right now for the shit she pulled when she put Ohioans under 442 days of lockdown, dude? Now, granted, it wasn't just her. It was that piece of shit Mike DeWine that had the ultimate say at the end of the day is what it was. Because the chicken shit GOP General Assembly refused to actually restrict his fucking gubernatorial powers until after 442 days is what it was there. To suspend the damn lockdowns. But the problem is that for the most part, Amy Acton, for at least the first year, was 100% the person that is to blame for that shit. With her whole fucking 2 weeks to slow the spread bullshit, when there was no way to even fucking slow it at that point. It was going to be, it would have burned itself out by the time we did all that crap, lady. You know what she did do, though, during that time? She gave then Dayton Mayor Dan Whaley the go-ahead to keep Planned Parenthood open so that women could kill their unborn children at Planned Parenthoods then. I still haven't found the exact number of that one, but I guarantee it was at least 10,000 children that were killed then at Planned Parenthoods during that time period. So that means 10,000 Ohioans were never born and will never be born because these demonic fucking evil cunts literally slaughtered children in the womb is what it is, dude. It's absolutely fucking disgusting is what it is. And this is why I'm actually in favor of just repealing the 19th Amendment at this point, honestly, in general, dude. And I would say not only just the 19th, but 26th for that matter. Raise the voting age to 25, full frontal lobe development, and we have a completely different demographic shift in this country is what it does then. You wouldn't have a bunch of dumb motherfucking commies like idiots like Mamdani getting into power now is what it is there, which, ironically enough, with that fucking jackass, you had it within a day or so of him being elected. Now he's like, oh, we need more money for the transition team now. You remember all that free shit I promised y'all? Nope, that's no longer out the fuck. That's completely out the fucking door now. Give me more money is what it is now. And then I guess there's rumors going around too that it was his during his, I'm trying to think what it's called now, like victory party or whatever there, that he apparently had a cash bar where people had to pay for their drinks. So yeah, the guy's just a hypocrite sack of shit is what it is, dude. It's like, this is exactly what we've all been telling these commies and socialists and stuff about, dude. It's like, this dude is pulling the wool over your eyes so you can push Islamic terrorism people, which makes logical sense when you actually look at what happened a couple of days later then, where you literally had all these dudes in Times Square doing like Allah Akbar shit and talking about basically taking over New York now is what it is. So, it's just absolutely sickening is what it is. But yeah, we are definitely heading for a bad deal is what it is then, man. So, but yeah, going back to the Vivek Acton thing, there's what it is. That bullshit poll, it basically claimed that Amy Acton was 46%, Vivek was 45% to win. It's like, yeah, sure she is. This is why I really, truly do believe that like lying and deception like that from the Democrat Party, or really just any party for that matter, and politically, I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, otherwise for that matter, if you're going to openly lie to people like that, you need to be booted out of the fucking race is what it is entirely. Because you're obviously trying to push a narrative to get your retarded-ass motherfucking candidate elected. And what's even more sad about the whole thing is that there's a lot of stupid fucking people right now that are basically saying, oh yeah, I'd rather vote for this white woman than this fucking Indian dude. Even though there's literally more than 2 candidates in these races, people. Like, you're acting like we don't have a fucking primary in May, where you have multiple candidates, including a guy named a guy named Philip Funderburg, who I'm seriously going to back at this point because his whole entire political platform is basically to deport anchor babies, including Vivek. And I'm like, good, let's fucking do this shit. That's what it is, man. I also found out last night that apparently that what I thought was a interview about 6 months ago was actually an interview that Vivek did back in 2023, over 2 years ago. And that was when he basically had himself as an anchor baby. I did not know that interview existed 2 years ago. And that's the only reason I ever even bothered to endorse that man for any amount of time for the governorship. Because had I known that interview had existed for any amount of time longer than I thought it did, I would have never endorsed that motherfucker a day in my life, honestly, dude. And network never would have either, for that matter. And I also want to point something out, too, on that same token of constitutional-based rights is what it is here, is that in the past 6 months now that Vivek's been running for the governorship, he has yet one fucking time to mention a damn word about where he stands on two-way rights in this state, in this country. And I believe it's because he does not like the Second Amendment. I think he's just like Trump. I think he's a fucking Democrat in disguise. And I believe that he's going to try to fuck over our two-way rights when he becomes governor of the state right now, which is exactly why I will be doing what I have to right now, getting people in the network to help me out with this stuff, and anybody else that wants help to, for that matter. And we are going to combine our efforts together right now, and hopefully we will have the ability, if Vivek does become governor, that day one, we would have the ability to just remove him from office under Article 1, Section 2 of the Ohio Constitution, and potentially, for that same aspect of things, remove about at least half to potentially the entire state government at that point then, because there's at least 30-something people in the state reps of the GOP right now. And then I believe it's about 15 state senators that are backing this sack of shit. And it's like, why the fuck would you back a dude who is openly shit-talked Ohioans for like the entire year, basically, and called Americans lazy, etc., when you could have just as easily had Dave Yost, Jim Tressel, any other person that's actually a politician in the state that actually has the legitimate merit and the legitimate experience to be in the governor's office, unlike Vivek's ass, who's never done a fucking thing except literally scam people out of money, which is how he became a billionaire with his big pharma scam, which, again, why the fuck he's not in prison for that shit is what it is then. The same thing, like, why is Acton not in prison right now for crimes against humanity? Like, why are either one of these fucking clowns in the governor's race right now is what it is, dude. So, yeah, I think unless somebody else wins the nominations, this state is fucking cooked come 2026 is what it is, man. November of that year. Because, yeah, we're just going to be fucked over by one of the others, what it is then, for sure. And I'll be damned if I'll let that happen, dude. And I am seriously ready, no matter who, at this point, if it's one of these two jackasses, to just remove them from office at that point through the legal means that we can under Article 1, Section 2 is what it is then of the Ohio State Constitution. So, yeah. But anyway, it's also interesting to me to note, going back to when I was talking about that Pureval guy, Pureval. Dude has a white wife. And the reason I bring it up, obviously, is because somebody else brought it up this week. I also got a pretty good endorsement this week. There was a woman who apparently is a Canadian fake news journalist named, I believe it's like Rama or something. It's like RUMA or something. And she was babbling on about, I forget exactly what she was talking about. I think it was AFTAB's ass, but I'm not sure about that one. And I called her out on that stuff. And what's interesting is that it basically boosted us as an organization now in the algorithm. And I think this chick realized like we were getting a big boost off of it is what it was. So she immediately banned us from being able to reply to her ever again. And then basically replied some bullshit fucking thing. And that's when I called her ass out on that one then that night. So if you go back to the timeline there, you can actually see where I was calling her out that night is what it was then. Because it's a bunch of shit, man. Like, she knows damn well that, like, what we said was the truth at that point. And of course, she doesn't like us what it is then. So, also, we're going to leave off today with something I saw earlier and thought was pretty hilarious, actually. So, you had this dude on X this afternoon. Where did it go now? Okay, there it is. Yeah, you had this guy on X this afternoon talking about non-white people speaking English. And he specifically said, a non-white person can speak English. Fact. And the top comment here from this Molly Davis, this is the Jewiest thing I've seen today. Can't help but laugh about that shit, man. Because it's like, what the fuck? So, obviously, for those who don't know, that's kind of like the Fuentes Groyper crowd people where they're like, the Jews control everything. It's not really the Jews particularly. It's like one group of people basically that like make up a majority of a thing is what it is there. And I'm not saying they control everything is what it is. What I'm saying is like, yeah, when you start doing like deep dives and stuff, like there's clearly some shady shit going on there. And they're obviously the ones that are, you know, pushing bullshit that is not America first onto American politicians, which is not okay, by the way. So, anyway, that's actually why I think, I believe MAGA might be a dead movement right now. And it really is time to just spur out America first, Americans only. And just go with the AFAO, bro. So, and if we do that the correct way, I think we can win 2026 right now is what it is. And it starts by getting rid of these shit candidates like your Vivek types and stuff like that and replacing them with much better American candidates is what it is that aren't self-made anchor babies and shit like that. Because truth be told, man, I think honestly if the Ohio GOP was backing anybody else at this point with the war chest they got going on right now, which is literally like $1 billion fucking dollars, they could just as easily have anybody in that governor's race and they could easily, very, very easily beat Amy Acton at this point. Now, granted, that being said, do I think Vivek potentially could still beat Acton in the race? I mean, it's possible, but it would be like literally cunt hair thin, basically, is what it is there. Like, it would be a razor's edge margin at that point. And the problem with that is, like, what comes after, right? Like, the dude has already admitted he wants to frack the state to basically increase his own personal wealth, et cetera. And I think that's what Vivek's going to do is what it is, dude. I think the reason he wants to be in the Ohio governor's office is literally to do pay-to-play scandals, what it is there, where he would simply enrich himself, fuck over Ohioans, fuck over our state, fuck over our land, et cetera, with fracking, with data centers, you know, having 1 million, 2 million more people live in the state than from places like New York, et cetera, there. That would do nothing except be another drain on our power grid and eventually cause power failures as what it is there. And yeah, I think we're just fucked with that, dude, is what it is, man. And like I said, I think we'd be better, like, truthfully, I think we'd be better off with just an unknown at this point, honestly. Like, whether it be a Heather Hill, whether it be a Philip Funderburg, whether it be somebody else for that matter. It doesn't matter, honestly. Like, as long as it's not these fucking jackasses. Vivek and Acton. So, but anyway. That's pretty much it for today. I mean, I'm sure there's other things I can go over for this whole thing. I was going to do some video stuff, but I decided against it, obviously, for today. I'm pretty exhausted right now, too, for that matter. I'm probably going to take a nap here momentarily as soon as I shut off the stream is what it is here. I did it at Walmart today, and I need some meds, obviously, because went to the doctor. Doctor was going to try to have me do I forget if it's x-rays he said, or it's going to be a CT scan or something of my knee, because he's pretty sure that my knee is just completely fucked with arthritis, what it is right now, and degenerating. So, and if that be the case, and that's been doing that for 15 years now, I don't know what to do, man. And it might be a situation where I end up being in a wheelchair at some point then. So, hopefully not, but you never know at this point, obviously. That being said, when I went over to Walmart to pick up some medications, what it was then, he had prescribed me. I ended up finding out that they apparently had, in fact, dropped their Ozark Trail Black Friday knives. So we picked up some stuff. So this will be one of the many blades for Slicey Boy Saturday tomorrow. What it is there, we got 2 different fixed blades. And we got, what else do we get in? Oh yeah, so I picked up a actual version of the Fathom now, which is not just the 7-inch folder. It's actually called the Fathom there. So hopefully this is a better version than the one I already have. That's not the actual name one then. And then let's see what else did I get here then. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 6. Yeah. So there's 6 overall. There's 2 fixed blades and 4 folders, which obviously this is apparently a new version of the Glacier. It just has different scalings than it is then. The one thing I will say compared to last year is all of these blades last year would have been $5. Now they are $7, which I can only assume has to do with the fact that you have the tariffs and stuff like that this year. And so either that or it's just the Waltners being greedy motherfuckers again like they always are. And it would be basically them putting a bunch of money forward is what it was then. And screwing people over, that's what it is. So, I don't know, man. It is what it is. But either way, that's where we're at for the time being right now. And like I said, we'll be going over a whole blade thing tomorrow for Slicey Boy Saturday is what it is there with the new Ozark Trail Black Friday knives is what it is then. So hope you guys enjoyed that one. Hope you guys enjoyed this one too as well. I will see y'all tomorrow for the Slicey Boy Saturday episode. I think I had it set for like 4-ish tomorrow or something like that. It might end up being like 11 or 12, honestly. It depends on exactly how I'm feeling tomorrow morning is what it is then. And if I feel up to making the whole thing in the morning or not, in like early afternoon, or if it's going to be me just waiting until the later afternoon is what it is then. So either way, I'm going to try to get some sleep here in a few, like I said, for a few hours anyway. And basically just chill for the rest of the night is what it is now. I'm still fighting off a cold. I really wish, it pissed me off too, because my MD had some student doctors in there today, and I was trying to basically tell the girl, I was like, yeah, man, like, even though I'm, at the tail end of this cold, like, it'd be nice for you all to prescribe me, like, some meds or whatever then. And I really wish you would just prescribe me, like, a week's worth of antibiotics or something like that is what it is, because I could definitely use that stuff right now is what it is. But unfortunately, he didn't, so it is what it is. Hopefully, the stupid rainstorm that was happening when I came back today, it is supposed to be going on tomorrow too, for that matter. Hopefully, that's not going to cause me to be even more, like, shifting and making this like a whole other week or something like that then. But anyway, only time will tell. So, but yeah, we'll do the Slicey Boy Saturday episode sometime tomorrow is what it is. And we'll go over the Ozark Trail Black Friday knives. And I think they end up having, like, I didn't pick up everything that they had there. They had, I know the ones I picked up, it was, I believe they only had the 2 fixed blades. Maybe they had a 3rd fixed blade. I just didn't want that one, is what it was. And then I know they had at least one more, like, regular folder is what it is there. And then I know that they had a, what do you call it now? Like some weird, like kind of like an old, like, buck knife one that you just, like, would pull apart. And it would have no, like, tabs or anything like that to do it that way, or no flipper or whatever, then do it that way. And again, I didn't really want that one either. So that's like 2 or 3 things that they had that I didn't want. And anyway, but yeah, so you basically had those ones. And then I believe they had like 3 or 4 different multi-tool things there too that I didn't pick up either. That would have all been like $7 as well. So overall, I think there was like there was like 12 or 13 things that they had there for sale or whatever. They got about half the stuff that was there. So anyway, I've done that before, and it doesn't seem to pay off. So actually, the only time I ever got a good lottery ticket was when I bought some scratchers once, and it ended up being a $1 scratcher, and it was like a $20 winner on it. So I've never been one of those people that have gotten like a $20 scratch and I won like $1,000 or something. I don't think that would ever be me, honestly. Plus, I would never actually buy something for that kind of money because that's just crazy talk. But unless you really, really think you're going to win, and hopefully you can win, because even with those ones, it's like, I think even the odds with the bigger ones now, it's still like a 50-50 shot or something like that if you actually get your money back or not then. So you could literally spend $40 and end up only winning back like 20 or something then. So, but anyway. Like I said, though, that being said, that's pretty much where we're at for the day. I will be back at some point tomorrow, either late AM, early afternoon, someplace in there for Slicey Boy Saturday. And then hopefully Honda will do a chat on Sunday at some point, and I'll be on his panel then. Or if he doesn't do something until Tuesday, then we'll be on the panel then, is what it is. But other than that, that's all I'm at for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to try to get some sleep so I can get my health back to where it needs to be at 100%. Other than that, that's where I'm going to be at for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. And yeah, Democrats suck is what it is. Like, that's what we're going to be taking from this dude. Democrats suck. They cheat. They lie. There's more than enough evidence now from Tuesday's election cycle that they stole the New Jersey governor's office. Guarantee that they stole the Virginia governor's office. And there's a shitload of mayor's races and everything else like that they stole too, for that matter. And it's time for Trump to grow a fucking pair of nuts. It's time for the Senate and congressional GOP to grow a fucking pair of balls and demand election audits across the board right now, and mass arrest of the people that are behind this election fraud is what it is then. Because until that stuff happens, nothing's ever going to change. And until we as the American people put our fucking foot down and be like, enough is a fucking enough, we're not doing any more elections until this shit is done with, and we have actual election integrity and mandatory election audits, that no, we're not electing anybody is what it is now. And we'll just be a lawless nation, literally. It's that simple, really. And when I say lawlessness, I don't mean like chaos lawlessness. I mean like, yeah, we're not going to have fucking government tell us what the fuck we're doing is what it is anymore. End of story. So, peace out, y'all. Stay safe, stay vigilant, always be carrying, always know your exits, always know your situational awareness, and you're ready for anything. Later.